thanks for joining us on VIP TV. Dennis Hobson, great to catch up with an old face, a bit of one of the veteran promoters of British boxing now. Dennis, you've always looked at innovative ways to kick on and get boxing back. You're doing drive-in boxing. Tell me how that's going to work at Sheffield Arena, because it's a brilliant idea, but you do come up with these things.
You're full of compliments this morning, aren't you, Steve?
Yeah, I'm in a good mood.
You're in a good mood, pal. You've always been in a good mood with me, pal. I've got plenty of respect for you, you know that. I got the idea from watching John Travolta trying to pull Olivia Newton-John in Greece when he went to that driving. No, seriously, my secretary, Miss Moneypenny, she went to a driving at Sheffield Arena. 2 months ago, maybe. And I said, take some photographs. I said, I want to have a look at how that works. And so, obviously, then the cogs started ticking. And I thought, well, why can't we replace the big screen by a boxing ring? And maybe, do a canopy. There's a lot. Obviously, we're having to jump through hoops, Steve. But we've imported some like igloo pods as well, which are see-through, which obviously adheres to the social distancing. So we can get 6 in these pods, what should arrive in the next couple of weeks. We've ordered about 15 of them. We were hoping we could get 10 in, but obviously now it's reduced to 6. So they're for the VIPs, which are going to be ringside. Then we're going to do about 100 cars, no more, because we want to make sure that this event goes off without any hiccups, and we're not, instead of trying to get like 500 cars in a big car park where it gets out of control and we've lost as focus. Because obviously there's a lot more hoops to jump through as regards all the PPE and making sure the boxes arrive and the timing's right and it gets cleaned down after every fight, the ring and things like that. So, like I said, there's a lot of hoops to jump through. We're having to bring all his own generators and everything, Steve. So it's just a car park with no electricity on it. We're creating his own sterile area as regards. We're having to have Harris fencing all blacked out. We're having a couple of big screens on there, so if anybody does get a restricted view, they can see, like when we've been to big fights in America, a lot of the time, Steve, and obviously you're sat ringside usually, but if you sat sometimes a little bit further back, you end up looking at the big screen to see what punches are actually connected. So we're catering for that by having a couple of big screens there. So and then there's going to be, people's going to be able to get booze, food. Obviously, we don't want the drivers having any booze. So you need a chauffeur. But we're catering for, it's not just the fight in the boxing. We're catering for an experience, an event. And it's the first time in history anybody's done it in the UK. And I saw Les Potts from the Boxing Board of Control. He come and did a site visit last week. And we went for a coffee after. And while we were waiting for the coffee, he said to me, "Are you excited, Dennis?" I said, "I've done quite a lot of big fights now, Les." I said, "To be honest, I am. I'm really excited." He went, "Well, I can tell you now, I am." And I thought, that's brilliant, that, because obviously we've got the Boxing Board of Control who's really supportive. And if it can happen, it will happen. And that's more or less what he said to me from the start. And so everybody's behind it. We've got a great health and safety team who I've had to employ to make sure that we adhere to everything. So we've got a blueprint here. Hopefully this passes off without any, anything negative. And I think guaranteed the fight's going to be a bit special because there's a lot of different scenarios with the fights. So I'm really looking forward to it, Steve.
Yeah. So how does it work for you? You're a promoter, you're a businessman. You've been very successful in boxing and other business. How does it work for you to make money from this? Because what you've explained is brilliant and people should be behind it, but it sounds very costly, and that's before you've paid a fighter.
Well, like you say, I've been in business a long time, and even as a young fella, I don't want to bore you with my little bit of history, but I sold a ground to buy a pickup truck to get, go door knocking and get into the scrap. And I'd always had the mentality that don't try and nick a few quid. I don't mean that literally.
Yeah, I know you're saying, yeah.
From the start, think long term. Just take a little bit So, but sometimes you have to have your loss leaders. Now, Steve, I can assure you this is a loss leader.
Yeah, I can tell you, I'd have my life. It's a loss leader.
But we're investing in the future like I have done in the past, like I did with Jamie McDonald, like I did with Clinton Woods, because I've seen something in them kids what a lot of other managers and promoters didn't see in them. And, you know, we achieved the pinnacle. So this is the same thing. We've got some good people business-wise. I've got my partner, Steve Crump, who helps sponsor, whose company helps sponsor a lot of our shows. He's a great guy to work with. And like I said, financially, his company, JJ Crump, they help us. We've got other sponsors who help make this work. And that's what we're doing, Steve. It's a loss leader. It's damage limitation financially, but it's something that's going to give us a platform to do, hopefully, some bigger fights and keep the momentum going, because obviously a lot of boxers have been sat idle for such a long time now. And, you know, we've been building Tommy Frank up for a couple of years now. His opponent, Kyle Youssef, I've promoted Kyle numerous times. I got on really well with his family. So, you know, it wasn't a fight, naturally. Normally I would have done. We'd have waited, and hopefully if they kept winning, hopefully we can do a bigger domestic fight, because obviously it's a local fight, 2 Sheffield undefeated kids. Excuse me. But I would have done this further down the line. But if they aren't getting any fights, and them's the only big fights on offer, and it's a prestigious fight because it's for the British title, they both jumped at the chance, and I take my hat off to them. But at the same time, they were going to be sat on their hands. So there's a lot of fighters out there who's not getting work, and at least I'm giving them an opportunity. And at the same time, they're paying us back by putting the undefeated record on the line. And the one thing is guaranteed, I'm more or less certain it's going to be a cracking fight.
Yeah, tell us about Tommy Frank, because historically, in your track record in boxing, I mean, you promoted a lot of fighters. You promoted in Vegas, Ricky Hatton, of course. You had in Vegas. You promoted globally and big shows. You had a lot of fighters, but you always seem to crop up with specialising in one fighter: Clinton Woods, Jamie McDonald, and now Tommy Frank, where you said you see things other people don't. What's the hopes with Tommy? Is it that Clinton Woods route where you'll get on the IBF route, or another route you're looking at for him?
It's like anything in life, Steve. It's about timing, and I'm quite an optimist. You know, like so many people these days seem to be so negative, and I'm thinking, like, when there's a bit of a downward trend, there's going to be an upward trend's going to follow it at some stage. And I've had a little bit of a lull when Clinton retired, Ricky retired, Jim McDonald went to Eddie, and then Stuart Hall finished, and people like that. And then I got on really well with Glyn Rhodes. He'd got a couple of fighters, and there's been times where me and Glyn's worked together, and then Glyn's gone off and worked with some other people, and I've gone off and worked with other people, but we've come back together. And Glyn's got a few different kids who we thought had got an opportunity, had got a chance, given the opportunity. And so that's what we've done. We've come together. Like I said, Glyn and I have been pals for a long time, and we work well together. And I just saw something in Tommy inside and outside the ring where I think, if given the opportunity and the positivity that I think I bring, as well as the options to progress his career and give it and get into manoeuvre him into positions. Tommy were a kid who, I must be honest, a few people didn't really fancy. I said, he's got a chance, that kid. There's something about him. And inside of the ring and outside, he's an utmost professional. And I see that much more improvement in him as fights have gone on. Now, he's had a couple of really tight fights, but they stood him in good stead. And I've seen different qualities in him where I know he can dig in. I know he's not a powder puff puncher, even though, a lot of light flyweights aren't majorly massive punchers, but he's not a powder puff puncher. He can box, he can fight, and I know he's got some grit. So, like I said, I know Kyle Youssef's got a lot of star quality, and that's why I see it just being an absolutely fantastic fight for a fantastic event, and I couldn't have wished for a better top of the bill.
I mean, and tell us again what date the show is again, and where people can get their tickets from and stuff.
Right, well, obviously tickets are going to be limited. We're only going to have about 90 to 100 cards. We've got some VIP pods, what we've got. We've got 15 of them. There's probably about half a dozen of them going to be left. The tickets have only just been printed, but most of them are spoke for, but it will still be a few. The cards are going to be from £300, £400 ringside. That means you get a clear view right at the front. But like I said earlier, there's going to be 2 big screens, Steve, where, as you've been at the major fights in America and I have, sometimes you look up at the big screen to see the actual punches landing. So we're going to cater for everything. There's going to be food on. There's going to be booze on, apart from the drivers. And then, but the tickets, you're going to be able to get them from my office, from Miss Moneypenny, if she answers the phone, on 0114 243 443. That's 0114 243 443.
And what date is it again?
It's November the 20th.
And it's on Eurosport as well. You've got a bit of TV. Eurosport are coming in.
Bit of Eurosport, so we're gracing that channel with a tremendous fight, and hopefully it's for a long-term relationship. And we're already working on other fights, Steve. And you never know. Talking to you earlier, at some stage, I'd love to work with you again.
Oh, anytime, mate. We had some good days, mate. We had some terrific days, didn't we?
They don't get much better than you, Lillis.
I don't know about that. Anyway, so I've got to go off on boxing. I've got to ask you about this because something I'm passionate about, non-league football, and Matlock Town, who play my team, Ashton, tomorrow. I know you've got a top manager there, Philo. How did you become El Presidente of Matlock? I mean, are you a president in the sense that you're just there, a figurehead at the top, or are you a president who's in there shouting, hollering, iron and firing?
I like to win at anything, Steve, and I played non-league football, as you probably know, at a decent level. And I made my debut for Works at Town at Matlock Town. Now, one of the fellas who works with me, Carl Fuller, he had 2 or 3 seasons at Matlock Town. He said, "Dennis, you fancy getting involved at Matlock?" I said, "Well, I've been thinking about moving out that way. My kids go to school in Bakewell, and anyway, we bought a lovely house on the outskirts of Matlock, and I had a meet down at the club what Carl had arranged for us. Got on smashing with all the fellas there. I could see what a great job they'd done, and I didn't want to come in there and say, 'Look, I'm Dennis Hobson. I've done big fights in Vegas, blah, 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 blah.' I said, 'Look, I'm not going to make any big decision to scare you to death. I'm just going to try and come in and assist on taking this to the next level on the fantastic job that you've already done and are still doing, and with my fresh ideas and maybe bring some other people in, get some extra revenue, and that's what I'm hoping to do. We should have had a 2-day music festival this year, which would have been fantastic, Steve. I'm hoping to build them because I've got a fabrication company where I'm involved with, a big new sponsors lounge which overlooks the pitch, which will be like on stilts. So if you give me a call anytime, apart from when we play in Ashton, because I don't want you shouting for Ashton and I'm shouting for Matlock.
That's tomorrow.
No, any time. I wish it were built tomorrow. I'd want you at the side of me, pal. Are you coming tomorrow, by the way?
I'm not, mate. I'm not. I only do Ashton home games. And to be honest, the only away one I'm doing this year is when they play Curtis Woodhouse's team, Gainsborough. So I only do the home games, mate. I only go to all of them because I can't watch Fulham at the moment.
Yeah, well, it's crazy, isn't it? But yeah, it's a smashing club, Steve. It's a lovely setting. And I've started to get on really well with Philo, who you know, and I just hope he does the business for us because I really want him to succeed, and if I can assist him in any way, I'm going to. But no, I'm not into hiring and firing anybody. I'll leave that to chairman, who's a smashing fella, Bryn Appleby, and there's some lovely people there. Jason McCrory is coming on board. You know Jason, the matchmaker.
He's working for you now. Yeah, I was going to ask you about Jason in a minute. That was going to be my final question, so I can ask you that now. Jason
Yeah,
McCrory, you worked with him years ago. I spoke to Jason recently. It was always, me and Dennis would always be back together one day, and it suddenly happened. He left Frank, and a week later, he's with you.
It's like Jennifer and Jonathan when they met. It was murder. So yeah, we've got together again. I've always gone on really well with Jason. He's a football fan. He's a bit of a football agent as well, and obviously a very capable matchmaker. Now, Steve Crump, my partner in the boxing in the Fight Academy, he'd met Jason, and when we'd been on the IBF convention, and hit it off really well with Jason. He says, "Oh, I'd love him to work with us at some stage, Dennis." I said, "Well, you never know. We'll see what happens." And then he's decided to leave Frank, and he made the call to me, and I spoke to Steve, and we arranged a meeting. And straight away, Steve says, "Will you come? We want you to come and work with us." It was just a mutual thing, and he's got like a new lease of life now. Steve is where he wants to be. We get on great. We slowly building what we think is going to be successful. We're not beating the drum saying we're going to be at the same level as Frank and Eddie at the moment, but we're just building, and that's like going back to what you're saying about your fighters like Tommy Frank. We're not necessarily going to go and bid for every Olympian, but if somebody's interested in coming and seeing how we do an absolute reliable, well, we've got a track record. We've got a reliable job. We've got a record of you're not just being a number. If you're with us, you're going to be a top of the bill fighter. You're not just going to be on the shelf and ready when I can get you off the shelf and put you in a big fight. So I think what we're going to offer is another option, but something that's a little bit more reliable and something that's going to build your brand, and you get guaranteed that you're going to get the personal touch from our Fight Academy. And now we've got Jason on board. He's another piece of a jigsaw that we're hoping that's going to be a stronger. We're building a strong foundation, but hopefully we're going to be up there as an option to Frank and Eddie. As regards if somebody's don't want to sign for Frank, don't want to sign for Eddie, but we're the best option. We're not saying we're behind them, because I think I'm the best option I would do. Otherwise, I won't be in the game. But somebody who you're working with, Steve Wood, got the utmost respect for Steve because of what he's done and what But I think Steve, in his own right, could have gone on and done some other bigger fights without having to work with Eddie and Frank. But I've got the utmost respect for Steve because look at his track record, the fighters he's produced. And as regards to television, I'd have loved to have seen it shared out a little bit more, Steve. So these pieces of pie for people like Steve and me, we're having to be innovative, like you've just said, putting driving shows on and trying to deals with free sport and Eurosport. If they're so difficult to get hold of, these series of dates. Channel 5 are a bit random. But we need some regular boxing, not necessarily at the highest world title level. We want some like fight nights, guaranteed regular, where kids can be a household name, even if they win a Central Area title or an English title. So, when Sylvester Mitty and fighters like that were on the go.
Yeah.
Now, they wouldn't be heard of, Steve.
You know what?
That's
a great point. Sylvester Mitty was an ITV household name, wasn't he?
I don't know where he come from. He used to have a walking stick, and he was brilliant. And I hope he listens to this, because he won't realise that I know about him, but I grew up on that. And if we can create something like that again, I know people said it before, but if I get the opportunity, I will do, because I know fighters like I'm using him against Sylvester. I could have maybe got him on the world title scene.
Yeah.
And give him a shot. It's like a Rocky movie. Why not? Sometimes they come through. Clinton was, as you've aforementioned, he took us 4 times before he won the world title. Now, some other promoters might have gone, he's had his shot, Roy Jones, he's had his shot, Glenn Johnson, whatever. He fell short. No, I still thought there were a little bit more in him, and took him away to Philadelphia, had Tim Witherspoon doing bits with him, and just to try and get that little bit of an edge. And eventually, when he beat Rico Hoy on the BBC, it were obviously one of the best nights of my life. And it proved a lot of people wrong, but it proved that belief and the graft that I put into Clinton was vilified.
Well, you know what? I know you put graft into your fighters, Dennis. Like you do anything you do, you're a grafter. But all I can say is thanks for joining us today. It's been brilliant having half hour with you and catching up with you. A few communication problems with a line earlier, but you've got plenty out what you want to say. You spoke Tommy Frank, Clinton Woods, Matlock. You've spoken everything. Thanks very much.
Steve, you're in here, pal. You're one of the great guys in boxing. And you'll always be welcome with me at Matlock, my house. Comfort tea. I'm not going to talk about Fulham, I promise you. But Matlock, Ashton, and I hope we just nick it tomorrow, but I hope it's a great game. And I look forward to seeing you soon when all this rubbish and this virus, crazy virus, world gets back to normal.
Brilliant, Dennis. Thank you.
For all boxing, info, news and latest interviews, amateur and pro, across the north, click and subscribe. VIP Boxing Promotions. Also, Twitter, Instagram and Facebook.